LIPSEY'S Aim Higher podcast. Across from me, Jason Klausner, and not even new to it. It's Dale Luke. Dale Luke. He's on board. I'm Rob Abruzzino, and excited to get back behind the mic. I can't say fall is in the air, so to speak. Late August here,
it's
Louisiana.
on the calendar, not in the air.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's hot, but it's never too early to think about fall. Think about the cooler days and weather ahead. And of course, what comes with that is hunting season. So we've got a couple avid hunters here for sure. So we tapped on this subject a few weeks ago, I guess, or a couple episodes ago about categories, and we want to get into rifles today. So you guys have spent some time sorting out your specific categories and maybe the perfect gun for each category. So that's what we want to get into today. So. How did this discussion start between you two? Where did this begin?
Where most of these conversations start.
The campfire.
Around a campfire.
The campfire stories, sure.
Yeah. That's what it is. And, Jason and I, we sit around and talk on hours on end when we're at the camp and, talking about hunting. And, we always put ourselves in a scenario. What if we only had one shotgun to do this, one rifle to do this, and et cetera. And we just kind of play on it. We just sit there and talk and how we rig it out and, what kind of applications. And then we like to throw curveballs and devil's advocate at one another. And, be like, what if you had this? I was like, oh, okay, well, that's different.
So where do we start? You guys came up with essentially kind of 5 categories, I think.
Yeah. And part of this came about, too, is that there is a trend right now, at least I'm seeing, where people, 25, 30 years ago, it was all about quantity.
Sure.
Yeah, I want a lot of guns. I want, you had 10, 15 deer rifles, guilty. But now, as a lot of people are saying, you know what, I would rather have one, maybe 2 really good ones and hunt with that and be done.
Right.
And so what Dale and I have kind of thought about, all right, if we had to start all over again and we were starting from scratch, we didn't have the 15, 20, 30 rifles sitting there.
Right.
What would we start over with? And we had to determine, okay, which categories do you want to fill? Because, while you could do everything with one gun, it's really would be difficult, especially when you're talking about small game. You're going in there.
Right.
And, dangerous game. It really, you could do it with 2. 3 would probably be the minimum, but really we determined 5 categories.
But guns are cool, so
guns are cool, and
it's okay to have more.
Right, exactly. So
I'm just sort of destroying your whole point here.
No, this is all just theory. This is hypothetical. There's no way I'm doing this.
Right.
But we did determine for the person out there who maybe who's getting into hunting and wants to build a rifle battery and wants to have one gun that does a particular thing really well. Then we figured these 5 categories are really where you should look. And the first one would be small game. We're talking rabbit, squirrel hunting, edible small game.
Right.
And then the next category up would be your varmints and predators. So we're talking prairie dogs, coyotes, stuff like that. And then the next category, which is probably the most popular one and most applicable, is your medium-sized game. We're talking antelope, white-tailed deer, mule deer, that's kind of stuff right there. Smaller African plains game.
Right.
And then the next category would be your large big game. We're talking about elk, moose, probably throw your bigger black bear in there.
Right.
And then your larger African plains game type stuff. Kudu, eland, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's rare air.
Right.
That kind of hunting. But
but a lot of people do it. And if you are building this battery to hunt the world, you want to be able to have those things covered.
Right.
And then the last one would be your dangerous game, your really big stuff. You're talking your brown bears, grizzlies, Cape buffalo, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And really, if you cover those 5 categories, you've got everything you would ever need for a hunting battery. And you can, in my opinion, you could do it. You could probably squeeze it into 4. You could probably combine the medium and the large game gun into 1.
Right.
But I think we determined that even though you can get some crossover in cartridge, sometimes the rifle might have different parameters, where if you're an southeastern whitetail hunter, you might want that medium-sized game gun to be a smaller gun, whereas your big game gun might have a longer barrel, whatever. So we determined we were happy with the 5 categories. Is where we came out.
So starting in the small category, the small game category, let's just start there. Let's kick it off from there. So,
yeah.
Now, did you agree on a particular rifle
So
for
we didn't-
each?
we didn't-
We didn't discuss it all.
So
okay.
So 2 weeks
Okay.
ago when we come in with the categories, I said, look, I'm gonna come up with my list. You think about it. You come up with your list, but
Yeah.
we're not gonna tell each other.
Okay,
So
cool.
we didn't want to sway each other.
No,
And
that's
then when he
good.
tells me his terrible ideas, I can shoot him down.
That's
And
how
vice
that's
versa.
how we do most of the show, by the way. If
exactly.
you haven't noticed, we all just kind of come together and it's
Yeah.
like, hey, let's talk.
Yeah,
Which is kind of good. You don't want to be
Right.
too researched.
Yeah,
you know?
Jason will come in and sweep the leg, Johnny.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, small game, squirrel,
Squirrel and rabbit. And
Yeah,
squirrel,
such.
and
edible
rabbit,
stuff.
Yeah.
edible stuff, and even. Wow, we're not going to get into it. This could potentially cross over into some short range varmint stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shooting prairie dogs close. and stuff like
Exactly. So my first go-to, really, and it's a gun that I own and I absolutely love, is a Ruger 77 22 Magnum.
Nice.
that. Interesting.
Nice.
So
Explain.
Well, when you're in southwest Mississippi, where Jason and I hunt, you get some of those bottoms, and some of the trees are extremely tall.
Mm-hmm.
And you want something with a little bit of range that you can get up there and knock a squirrel down.
Right.
If you see a rabbit on a ridge or one ridge over, you can at least, have a really good opportunity. Not to say that a 22 long rifle can't get there.
Right.
But I prefer a bolt action. To me, it's just satisfying.
Right.
To rack the bolt, eject the round, throw the new one in there, and let it rip. And to me, just a fixed 4-power, nothing crazy distance-wise.
Right.
You get a great field of view when you're looking up in a tree or in the ground or whatnot with the fixed 4-power, and it's for me it's perfect.
Good to go. Commentary on that?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, 22 Magnum. I wasn't expecting that one. I kind of figured the default would be 22 long rifle.
Right.
That's what I picked. I picked 22 long rifle.
Probably the most popular choice, I assume.
I would
mean,
think,
yeah.
And Dale makes some good points. There are some long range, especially
Yeah.
at the end of the season when all the leaves are off the trees, all the acorns are on the ground. The squirrels and stuff are generally scavenging on the ground, and
Right.
and so you can have some decently long shots. I like the 22 long rifle. It's a little quieter, and so especially squirrel hunting in the deep south, if you want to try to get more than a one or two, having that quietness helps because they really the report of the 22 rifle is not that bad. Plus, you can shoot subsonics.
I was going to say, do you guys go suppressed?
I do now.
Yeah.
On my this is the toughest part I had was picking the caliber was easy for me on this one.
Right.
The gun was tougher. I really was torn between a 1022 and I have a CZ 453 bolt action.
Okay.
The CZ bolt guns are great.
Yeah.
22 rifles. They're super accurate. And I even right here, I'm sitting here right now. I still don't know which one I would absolutely take.
Yeah.
But I would probably go with the 1022
Yeah.
because it is suppressor. I could thread the barrel on the CZ.
Sure.
I do like the idea of having the little bit more capacity, and my 1022 is super accurate. I have shot prairie dogs with them out to 50, 75 yards pretty effectively. It's a squirrel killing machine. So
we got
I'd probably go there.
we got a pair of Rugers. Slightly different setup, slightly different
definitely
methodology
and
here. But
that was a real tough one for me because I was going back and forth with the 1022. Shooting some subsonics suppressed is ridiculous how quiet it is.
Well, they make I think Winchester makes a subsonic 22 Magnum load now.
Oh, well, that's
So which basically is just making a 22 long rifle out of a 22 Magnum.
Right.
So you could have that versatility. Plus, you can actually, and I have a 77 22 Magnum as well. It'll work with the 22 WRF rounds, which are kind of it's an old round that's obscure, but it's kind of if you think of it, it's like a 38 Specialist to a 357 Magnum. So you can shoot them in 22 Magnum chambered guns. They're a little bit shorter, and they run. I think I chronoed some of those 40 grain bullets at around, I don't know, maybe 1,200 feet per second, 1,300 feet per second. So they're a good bit slower than a 22 Magnum, but a little more oomph than a 22 long rifle.
Right.
So you do have that option to download the 22 Magnum too. So pretty good choice, Dale.
So we'll have to put maybe a poll out there and maybe category by category of who wins,
Yeah.
Might be our Friday poll,
on
Instagram and Facebook. Usually every Friday I do like a Friday shootout. So maybe we'll put like each one of these guns up against each other and see what the fans think. And if they go with Jason or Dale and your picks. So we can have some fun with that.
So whichever one has the more votes, I think for the viewers, we should stick with it, and we should hunt with it.
So
both of us have 77-20 Magnums. Both of us have 10-22s.
Yeah. And then that's what you're.
That's what we're gonna hunt with.
Viewers' choice here.
Yeah. What the heck?
All right. Good.
Challenge accepted.
You guys might be hunting with some weird stuff. This
some tomahawks and
exactly. All right. Next category.
So the next one's varmints.
Varmints.
Varmints. So here again, we're talking prairie dogs, rock chucks.
Yeah.
Coyotes, stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. So, Jason, we'll let you start this one.
All right. So this one, again, the cartridge choice was fairly simple for me on this one. It's a 223.
Right.
22-250 used to be kind of the king of the varmint rounds, and it's still really good. But I've shot 223s on varmints for so long now, and with the bullets that are available, I can't deny the 223 is the best all around varmint round.
You put hogs in that category?
I have shot hogs with 223s.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Little larger, obviously.
I would put those more in the medium side game.
Medium.
Yeah.
Now, what about
the heart of a large?
What about? I'm throwing you off a little bit here, but in our neck of the woods, alligator hunting's quite popular. Where do you put that? And we can circle back to that, but
being from way south Louisiana.
Sure.
A lot of those alligator hunters are using 22 long rifles and 22 Magnums.
Right.
And sometimes 17 HMR because they don't want to mess up the hide.
Right.
Because that's where their money.
Yeah.
And if they have something that over-penetrates, the money of an alligator is the underbelly.
Yeah.
That's that real soft leather.
You want a small, concentrated shot.
You want something that's not going to over-penetrate
and
truly.
Yeah.
And, you have a quarter size target to hit.
Yeah, I would think a Ruger 1022 would be pretty ideal.
Right. Yeah, that's what most of them are running.
Just curious, and again, that's our neck of the woods. Probably not most people don't experience that, but
now you can go to
quarter of us might.
Right, you can go to Florida, and there's guys that are running in the levees and shooting a lot more high-powered rifles.
Right.
But, when you're actually, I guess farming, I guess would be the best way to put it, where they're actually hooked.
They're trapping them.
They're trapping. That's the word I'm looking for. They'll use a long rifle.
So what about the back to the varmint category? The 223.
So
is
223. I have had tremendous success with the 50 grain VMAX style bullet on prairie dogs and that kind of stuff. So I would probably stick with that. I wouldn't go with a super heavy barrel gun, even though my current varmint rig is a heavy barrel gun. But if I was streamlining down, I would probably do a kind of a medium weight barrel, so the gun would still be packable. So if you were walking around coyote hunting or something like that, or hunting rock chucks where you're on your feet more than say a prairie dog town, so I would go with something. I would go with.
What's your setup? What's your rig?
My current rig is a Remington 700.
Okay.
With a super heavy barrel on it, but I would probably go with something more along the lines of a medium weight fluted barrel on it. I would do a 1-in-8 twist, so I could stabilize heavier bullets. Because now all of a sudden that 223 could be pressed into a antelope whitetail round as well, or rifle as well, because some of these heavier controlled expansion 223 rounds are pretty effective on.
Adds just a little versatility on the top
exactly
end, I guess.
And the gun's not so heavy that you're not you don't mind lugging it around either. Scope wise, I don't believe in huge big scopes on varmint guns.
Right.
In my experience of shooting a lot of prairie dogs over the years, I don't hardly ever crank my scope past 10.
Right.
The mirage gets too bad. If you can't call your shots through the scope. Most of the time it's on 8.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I leave it.
Right.
And then I'll crank it sometimes a little bit higher. So I would probably stick with something in like the 4 to 16 range.
Yeah. Just
so you had that ability.
Yeah.
Something with a turret. I love the Zeiss V4s. I think they're really good scopes.
Yeah.
But that would be my varmint rig.
All right, Dale, what you got?
That's kind of a tough one.
These are all tough.
Yeah, it really is. And a bolt action, I can see. We will be agreeing on the caliber.
Yeah,
223 or 5.56.
So, do you have a dedicated? Setup now, or
I do,
or you can be swayed or sold?
I do. Unfortunately, it is not a bolt action.
I
say unfortunate that it's not a bolt action. But I like it. I rigged it so that I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is a Daniel V11 Pro.
Oh, nice.
And it's got a
AR.
Great gun,
a little semi-auto, especially for coyotes. You can go ahead and suppress it.
Mm-hmm.
Easy thread on, thread off, direct thread, or do a quick detach.
Yeah.
It may heat up a little bit when you start varmint hunting, or not varmint, prairie dogs.
Yeah.
I think it'll get really hot really fast, but just keep in mind, just control your shots.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great AR. We actually did a run of exclusives on the SLWs, didn't we?
Yeah.
The 11, a
Yeah.
little while back.
A lightweight version.
Yeah, that's great.
And I have a SIG Tango 4 on top.
Nice.
Illuminator reticle, and that's when you start getting into your varmint hog hunting.
Right.
Would have illuminated reticle.
Right.
You can, it's extremely accurate. You got your turrets that you can adjust.
Well, you got your 1-in-7 twist too, so you can stabilize the heavies.
Yeah.
Now you
Exactly.
can't. Now the super heavies won't fit in an AR magazine.
Right.
But you can shoot like the 77 grain tipped match kings and stuff like that. Too.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Now lugging it around, it will get heavy.
Yeah.
But really, any varmint style rifle. That's why Jason said a medium weight, heavy barrel. If you're truly packing,
it's probably
Right.
the gun that you'll carry around the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Generally. So
Yeah. And after the gun, the scope, that gun's got a 18 and a half inch barrel.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does weigh, and it's the V11's got the key mod, so it's a heavier forend.
Right.
So not really planning on lugging it. Set it down on bags and let it rip.
no, that's a good choice.
Okay. Another. Well, I'm interested to see the
Now, I will
vote
say
on that
this:
one.
you better get a brass catcher when you're shooting prairie dogs.
Yeah, no
because
kidding.
there's nothing more of a pain in the butt than trying to run down a bunch of brass strung across the prairie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Next category. Category 3.
All right, so this is the medium game. Yeah, your whitetail,
Sure.
antelope, mule deer kind of stuff. This is by far the one with the most options as far as cartridges and calibers. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're talking here anywhere from, I wouldn't put 22 caliber centerfires in this category because in a lot of states it's not even legal. So really, it's for your 6mm 243 type stuff on up. I guess I'd say the top end would probably be 30-06
Right.
on this. And really, 30-06 is probably better suited for the next category in reality. But, you got a lot of options here.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got all the 24s, you got all the 25 calibers, all the 6.5s.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of 270 options and 7mm options. It's really, you can't really pick a wrong one, honestly.
Right.
I mean, I've shot deer with a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, there's not a ton of difference between the effectiveness of, say, a 25-06 and a 280 or something like that. So it really, the bullet can be as much of a determining factor as the cartridge itself. However, for me at least, the way I approached this category was I wanted the gun to be fairly light because this is a gun that you'll be carrying around quite a bit. I wanted it to be all weather resistant. I didn't, even though my heart is in Woodstock, beautiful blued guns.
Sure.
For this exercise,
it can get wet and damp. And
I want
mucky
something
and,
I can just hunt whenever and not have to worry about it.
Right.
Since I would want something kind of short and handy because I hunt in a lot of whitetail woods, I would want something and a cartridge that will work fine in a 20 to 22 inch barrel.
Yeah.
So that pretty much eliminates a lot of the like the 25-06 and which I'm a big fan of. Kind of eliminates the 264 Winchester Magnum, that kind of stuff. I want a short action. So really it boiled it down for me to really, well, technically 4 cartridges, but really 3. So the 260/65 Creedmoor, the 7mm 08, and the 308.
Yeah.
And those 3 really You could throw the 257 Roberts in there as well, but another criteria for me, at least, is I want easy ammo.
Right.
I want to be able to, if I'm streamlining things, I want to be able to find ammo, easily have lots of options. So that kind of knocked the 257 Roberts out for me. So it left me with, I'll just kick the 260 out because really, in my opinion, there's no reason to choose a 260 over a 6.5 Creedmoor at this point.
Right.
So it really let down the 6.5 Creedmoor, the 708, and the 308.
Right.
I grew up killing a lot of stuff with 308, so it was hard for me to, sentimentally, that's kind of my pick, but I eliminated it.
That's what I have, and I remember talking to you a while back, when I got it. I've got an American Predator 308, and you're like, that'll take down just about anything in North America.
Yeah, it's a great...
And, man, I spent hours and days online, like 308 versus this, kind of just round by round, like in pros and cons, and trying to kind of make that decision. And I don't hunt nearly as much as you guys, but I wanted something that was just versatile, and and I got my son the same, actually. So I've got the Predator, he's got the regular American model, but kind of ease of ammo is another thing. There's 308
interestingly enough, yesterday
thing.
we were looking online at available hunting ammunition.
Yeah.
And 308, we found lots of options. Everything else, hardly maybe found one or two options.
Yeah.
So here, that's another perfect example of when times get tough, 308 is probably a great choice.
So you've narrowed it down. Now continue.
So I eliminated 308 only because only because there's a second.
He hosed me, man.
Only because
6.5 Creedmoor wasn't sexy back when I asked him, though. This was probably 5 years ago.
Well, you remember, too, there's another gun, though. There's a large game gun that could be pressed into the whitetail arena as well. So that's why if I could only have, if we were only having one category, from antelope to elk, I would probably say a 30-06 and be done with it.
Yeah.
Which a 308, 30-06 is pretty much the same thing. But so I took the 308 out. So it left me with 708 and 6.5 Creedmoor. So purely from a pure ballistic standpoint, I'm
gonna be disappointed at what he's about.
The 708 makes
some of the listeners are gonna be disappointed.
Oh God!
Oh yeah!
It's like don't say 6.5 Creedmoor.
Oh yeah!
Come on!
Oh, the hate mail's coming, baby. so the 708 is probably, at least ballistically, probably the perfect cartridge for this.
Right.
Because you do have the ability to drive the heavier, like the 160s and stuff like that. So if you have to press it into an elk situation or a larger game situation, it works great.
Right.
However, I went with the 6.5 Creedmoor.
Oh, jeez.
Because for two reasons.
Wow.
For two reasons. One, it's really easy on the shoulder. You can shoot a lightweight six. I went and shot this weekend, and I have a little Barrett Fieldcraft. It's that gun with that little, I have a little Trijicon AccuPoint 3-9 on it.
Yeah.
And that gun weighs 6 pounds, 2 ounces, all up.
Yeah.
So that gun is super handy, super light, it's super accurate, and it's real easy to shoot. I've shot some Fieldcrafts in some like Kimber Montanas in 308, and I mean they don't beat you up, but they're not, after about 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, you're like, all right, this is getting to be a little much. The 6.5 Creedmoor, you can shoot it all day. Yeah,
we don't drag the 308 to the round, or I'm sorry, the 308 to the range very often. It's really just to
for you, it's probably just a hunting gun.
Yeah, you bring it out, just make sure it's sighted in,
right.
Year in, year out, which I don't really make any changes to it, but just to kind of knock the dust off it, I guess you could say. And a few rounds through it, you're like, okay, good.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
the Creedmoor's fun. You can shoot that thing all day.
Yeah,
you really can.
That's well. All right, let's get to Dale, and then we'll.
Well, so let me just finish it up real quick.
This is the most disappointing.
The 6.5 Creedmoor. I know, long way to get to the 6.5 Creedmoor. However,
he didn't want to say it.
Address all your email to Rob. But I will say this: when it comes to ammo selection, I mean, it will be the new 308/30-06.
Right.
So easy, lots of options. I'm not claiming it is. I know these people. Oh, it's a long range. You can kill an elk at 800 yards. No, I don't buy into that.
Right.
But for a 450 to 500 yard and in deer gun, it's pretty tough to beat.
Yeah.
It's as easy to shoot, but mainly because of the rifle.
Yeah.
Because I wanted a super lightweight, short, which I would, if I was going to take one, I'd take that little Barrett rifle, set up with that little 3-9, and I got something that's super handy and lightweight, but yet could still shoot on the prairies at distance and everything else. So it's as much. I went with the cartridge as much because of the gun that I wanted, as much for the cartridge.
Right.
If I picked a slightly heavier gun, say like a Model 70 Extreme Weather or something like that, heck, I might choose a 270.
Right.
I might choose something a little bit heavier. But I wanted something that was easy and fun to shoot. That's a gun you're probably going to shoot a lot.
You do cover a lot of bases, and here where we're at in Louisiana, and a lot of us hunt in Mississippi, and you don't get a lot of 400 or 500 yard shots. Just it's heavily wooded. But you can take it. You go out west, a reasonable amount, to do different kind of hunting. So where you do get versatility out of it. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. I get it. It's just so popular. It's almost nauseating. But,
I know.
But
it's a cop out.
But hey, it's actually on my list too.
Well,
so
there's a reason why it's so popular.
Yeah.
Things don't get to be that popular because they're bad.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's
all right, Dale. You can't say 6.5 Creedmoor. So anything else? Other than that,
I mean, but that is a great pick.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
Because when you look at those medium-sized game, antelope, the prairie goat, I mean, you can really stretch the legs out with a 6.5. And whack them. For me, it was kind of tough. It's always tough.
He has to deliberate. It's very difficult.
Yeah, because although my list is in my head, when you start hearing Jason's argument and everything,
it's picking the favorite kid.
Things slide in. It's
right.
Like, it's like two calibers are now talking to one another.
The voice
in
of
my head.
reason is slipping into
right.
This.
Yeah. Because originally I was like, all right, for our plains game and whatnot, I was almost all in of a 25-06.
Great choice.
Yeah.
And it's still a great choice, for inside the woods and stuff.
Right.
But as our campfire discussions have progressed over the years, and we have all these deer rifles to choose from, what's the one rifle you always grab before you leave the house?
I always grab my 308.
That's where I'm going with
it.
I always grab my all-weather 308.
Yeah. Good. It makes me feel a little better.
And bring it. Yeah. So my choice will be a 308.
Thank you for redeeming my choice. So
now, I mean,
after Jason cut and ran on me there.
Well, and your Weatherby is a little heavier. It's so it probably has the same recoil as my light, super light.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but a 20-inch barrel, especially far around the woods down here, Southwest Mississippi, you're hiking up and down, ridges. I'm not going to call them mountains because we definitely don't have that here. But it's a very packable rifle. And a 20-inch barrel, you still get, some pretty good velocities.
Yeah.
If you want to extend the barrel to a 22-inch to get a little more oomph on it and scope it appropriately for whatever your all-purpose is, I think a 308, hands down, is probably one of the more.
Right. All right. I think, I really think you can't, if you stick with those, the 6.5, the 708, 308, in a 20 to 22-inch semi-lightweight bolt-action rifle, you really can't go wrong.
Yeah.
But, going back to what Jason was saying, availability of ammunition.
Sure.
308 is out there, and, one of our little campfire discussion is, these super oddball calibers are fantastic.
Yeah.
The performance is, but what if you leave home and you have a 3-hour drive and you need to go get that ammunition?
Yeah.
The odds of you finding the same grain weight, 308, 30-06, 270,
fairly easy,
pretty close to where you're hunting.
Plus, in a real, the bug out scenario that we often think of, it's like you're going to grab a hunting rifle and a pistol, and it's like you can't backpack 6,000 pounds of ammo. You've got to really be smart with your choices. And again, what's available and what's going to be efficient in multiple situations.
And in the spirit of this exercise, this is the battery to take you on for the next however many years.
Right.
So I want to pick something that I know is going to stay in the mainstream for a long time.
Yeah.
If you picked a 7mm STW back in the early 90s when that was the hot ticket.
Right.
And now it's just an obscure cartridge that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
So everything that I'm looking at is stuff that is either been established for a long time or just knowing. I mean, the Creedmoor of all my picks is the only one that's a relatively new cartridge.
Right.
but there's no doubt that is here to stay. So
yeah. It's rooted itself. It's
308's been out a long time. 30-06 has been out forever. I mean,
since 1906.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So okay. Well, you know what? I want to stop for a second though in this category because this is the most popular category.
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
6.5 Creedmoor. What's on your wish list, or someone? Let's assume someone's out there looking to get a new rifle, and they're kind of your normal hunter, meaning probably white-tailed deer.
Sure.
You know, that covers a huge swath of the country as far as hunters go. So, what would your suggestion be? We heard about both of your setups. I mean, but if you're looking to, or okay, I'll use myself as an example. I've got the American great gun 308, but I want to notch that up a little bit. I want a second, something different. I don't want the same cartridge. Just want to ring it up. What would you suggest there?
I would look hard. The carbon fiber wrapped barrel deal it's legit.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
I hadn't shot one.
It's unreal.
I've got 3 or 4 of them now, and they all shoot. They're all fairly lightweight. They're easy to suppress because you have a big diameter barrel, so you've got good threads. It just works good. You don't get a lot. One thing I've learned too is you don't get a huge point of impact shift because the barrel is so rigid.
Yeah.
And these guns are usually based off of Remington 700 actions, like the Christensen and stuff. So you've got lots of stock options.
Yeah.
You can change, as your shooting style or preferences change, you can adapt that rifle to those things.
Yeah.
They're easy to change barrels down the road.
Right.
It's just a lot going for it. So I would look really hard. Shameless plug. I would look really hard at the LIPSEY'S exclusive Christensen Arms Ridgeline in 6.5 Creedmoor or 308, because we the ones that we do have the gray stock.
Yep.
But not just a color change. The barrel, instead of a 24-inch barrel, they have a 22-inch barrel, which I think is a little handier as an all-around gun versus the 24. That would be a great gun.
We do like 3 barrel lengths, don't we? In that gun?
Yeah, well, the factory they do
caliber,
a 20. Like, we'll just take Creedmoor for example.
But our exclusives.
Well, yes. So, and the 300 Win Mag, instead of the 26-inch barrel, we do a 24.
That's right. I know. Yeah.
So we did a couple of guns that had a little bit shorter barrels than normal,
but kind of caliber specific too.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's right.
So I would stick between, for this gun we're talking about, ideally is probably a 22-inch barrel.
Yeah.
So I think that gun that we do would be pretty ideal. But I would look hard at something like that.
Yeah.
It's just what you like.
Yeah. That's been a hot ticket here. You know, Christensen's been a hot ticket. I mean, obviously we got a lot of great options. You know, but
absolutely. You know, and in that category as well is not only adults but children.
Youth. Yeah,
youth.
Sure.
Yeah. Youth shooters.
Yeah.
You know, what's the best caliber? What's the best platform for them to go with? And
that's good advice. So you taking your sons? You both have kids. I mean, it's what'd you load them up with? When you took them out hunting for the first time,
for the first time, 300 Blackout was just coming about, and Ruger started making the American series, American Ranch, and 300 Blackout, and that's what my oldest son shot his first deer with a Barnes 110 grain, projectile, and I mean it smacked her. I mean, it was awesome experience for both of us.
Yeah.
Now he is 16, and he has graduated to a Christensen Mesa in 6.5 Creedmoor.
Oh, wow. Fancy.
Great cartridge choice.
Yeah. I wonder why.
What'd you start the boys on, Jason?
So my oldest son, who is now 16, I got him started with a Ruger 77-44 and 44 Magnum, and I hand loaded down some 250 grain Keith bullets down to, they were running I think about 1,300 feet per second out of that rifle, so they were pretty mild. He killed a few deer with that.
Nice.
Worked real well. And then my middle son, he killed his first deer at 5. He got started early, but he did it with
barehanded.
He did it with a Ruger Scout rifle in 308.
Nice.
That's the youngest. The youngest is going to wrestle one down and just gig it.
Yeah. So he started off with a little Ruger Scout rifle in 308, and then my youngest son, he started out with a Ruger American Compact in 6.5 Creedmoor.
Nice. So, all good choices, all kind of unique too.
Yeah.
So
and guns that they can grow into. Now my oldest son now, he kind of the 77-44. Once he got a little older, I got him a Ruger American in 25-06.
Yeah,
which he likes.
Isn't that a great gun? I'll tell you, that thing is
For the money, they're tough to beat.
It's mine is crazy accurate.
Yep.
I love it. I really enjoy shooting it. So okay, next category. Where are we headed now?
All right,
category 4.
This is 4.
We're in like
number,
So this is the large game. So we're
game?
talking
semi-scary animals.
Yeah, we're talking your bigger deer, like your elk, moose.
Yeah,
You're talking your big African antelope.
Yeah.
Probably some of the bears and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Dale, you want to go first this time?
Yeah,
Dale, kick it off.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do this and disappoint everybody. Thought.
It was hard. I know it's hard.
It really is.
We've established.
Yeah. So it's like a broken record. I kind of wanted something that was extremely versatile. As always, ammunition, availability of different grain weights, going heavy, going light.
Yeah.
I do own this rifle, and I will stick by it. My Christensen 300 Winchester Short Magnum. Packability, 24-inch barrel.
Yeah.
Easy pack, lightweight to pack in the mountains.
Yeah.
Leupold. What's on it? V5 HD. I think is what I have
You
on
have a
top, because
30-15.
I bought it from him. I bought the damn scope from him.
Yeah, it's good scope. Real good.
Yeah, super clear.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward. I haven't killed anything with it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to
excellent
to shooting it.
Yeah, this is actually the easiest pick for me. 300 Winchester Magnum.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the quintessential, in my opinion, big game.
Yeah.
All around, and you really could hunt anything with it. Something about a 30 caliber, 180 grain to 200 grain bullet rolling in 2,900 to 3,000 feet per second. I mean, that's a killing combination right there.
I was going to say, that's pretty devastating.
Yeah. And
didn't you chronograph a 300 Win Mag this
Yeah,
weekend?
Saturday. Yeah, we shot some the Hornady ELDX 200 grain stuff through a 26-inch Christensen, and they were running at 2960. I mean, they were smoking out of
that's
thing.
moving.
Yeah, that's a pretty good round.
Yeah.
I would take. I have a Christensen Arms Ridgeline.
Yeah.
That's what I would take. That gun shoots great. It's light, but it's not too light. I don't want a 300 Win Mag that's stupid light. I mean, some of these guys are building these 6-pound 300 Win Mags, and the rule of Jason is if you have to put a muzzle brake on it, get a smaller gun.
Right.
You just too much gun. I don't want a muzzle brake on any of my stuff.
Yeah.
So my gun comes out right at about 8.25 pounds all up, which is I can shoot that gun all day. It's not too bad, but it's not so heavy that you can't pack it around.
You want a little heft to absorb some of that recoil.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And two, there's the trend to going light is good, but for guns that might be pressed into longer range capabilities, you want a gun that's got a little heft to it, because I tell you, man, they get a little shaky off of an impromptu backpack, rest or something like that.
Right.
So a little weight will kind of settle that gun down a little bit. But that's what I'd go with. I got a Zeiss 4-16 on it. I shoot 190 grain Barnes long range X's through it, and I wouldn't hesitate to take that gun just about anywhere and hunt anything. Now it's a longer barrel gun, so it's not handy in the deer woods. So that's why I wanted a smaller, lighter, handier gun for the woods. But as far as even mule deer and stuff, I'd probably just take that 300 Win Mag to do it out in the open areas and just be just fine. But the 300 Winchester Magnum has been around since the 1963, I think. So it's well established. It's you can find it anywhere. You can find it overseas if you're hunting in Africa or whatever.
Yeah.
So super easy pick.
Yeah.
For me.
Excellent.
You can go. I know there's a big push on the 300 PRCs and the 300 rums and all that stuff, but now you're getting into having to put a brake on the gun.
Yeah.
Harder to find ammo.
Right.
Or packing a heavier gun.
And you got to go heavier.
Yeah.
I'll take the 300.
Yeah.
But 300 short mag, ballistically, is basically identical.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And the sole reason why I went with the short Magnum was the shorter barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really over a Win Mag versus a short Magnum.
A little more trekkability.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I went with it.
No, but if you told me, no, you can't have a 300 Win Mag, but you can have a 300 short mag, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
And Jason, you're shooting a 190.
190.
I'm shooting a 180.
Yeah.
So I mean,
That's
we're right there.
Real close.
Range.
Yeah, real close.
Yeah.
All right, final category.
All right.
The big stuff.
Large, dangerous game.
Large, dangerous
Now,
game.
so there's kind of two large, dangerous games. There's
I'm picturing like an old black and white photo with the elephant gun.
Yeah. So there's
the big trumpet on the end.
Yeah, there's North American
Pilgrim
dangerous
gun.
game, which
yeah.
would be your brown bears and coastal grizzlies, stuff like that.
Moose.
And then you've got your African, large dangerous game, which is Cape buffalo and hippos and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So I chose something that would have the most versatility.
Right.
And it's probably the most versatile cartridge on earth.
And I think we'll agree on this.
And anybody listening will know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's the 375 H&H.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that is the quintessential. In America, it's considered a large bore. In Africa, it's really a medium bore.
Right.
Until you get into the 40 caliber stuff and up, then you really get into the large stuff.
Yeah.
But that pigeonholes you so much into a really heavier gun, and for the really big stuff. I know realistically, while I would love to have the option to, shooting the really, really, really big stuff over in Africa is not something that I would probably do. Really don't have an interest in doing.
Right.
Cape buffalo, oh yeah.
Right.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
And a 375 would be perfect for that.
Yeah.
Bears would be perfect. But the 375 also is super versatile in the fact that it would make a good dark timber elk rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Moose. Heck, you can load it down and you can whitetail hunt with it.
Mm-hmm.
People, 375 would tear them up. Not really. Not if you load down a 235 grain spear at about 2,600 feet per second.
Yeah.
It's not gonna do that whole lot of damage.
Yeah, it has a controlled expansion and just have it punch just two solid holes. It eliminates that jelly factor in the in the meat on the shoulder.
So I and here I would go with something that's kind of short and light and handy. Not light, but short and handy.
Yeah.
I would have something probably I couldn't decide between a 20 and a 22-inch barrel, so I'd probably have cut to 21. Because, but I'd want sights on it. A good synthetic stock, stainless, controlled round feed.
So, do you own that firearm?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
It's the only one I don't. But it's funny.
So what's the? What brand and platform are you going with there?
If I could, so currently of what's being made, Kimber makes one that would work.
Yeah.
The Talkeetna. However, I would probably try to find a Winchester Model 70.
Okay.
Stainless.
Yeah.
They haven't made them in a few years, but they're out there.
Yeah.
So I'd get that gun. It comes with a 24-inch barrel. I wouldn't want it that long. I would cut it to 21.
Yeah.
Move the sight back on it. Probably put a little bit better synthetic stock on it.
Yeah.
I'd want controlled round feed. The scope, I wouldn't put a super high magnification scope on that gun. I would probably put, I don't know,
1.5 to 4.
No, I would want a little bit more on the top end because, ballistically, a 375 H&H with 270 grain bullets flies about like a 30-06 of 180.
3 to 9. I mean,
I would probably put it like a 1 to 6 or maybe like a 2.5 to 8, something like that on there. I don't know. I haven't thought that out too much, but
big targets.
Yeah, probably would settle on 2 loads. A 270 grain Accubon or Barnes or Partition for the elk moose type stuff, and then a 300 grain heavy for the real big stuff. But
all right, Dale.
Yeah.
What you got?
I mean, we're in line on caliber.
Yeah.
375 H&H, I would definitely go with. One gun I've always wanted.
I was going to say, do you own this style?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Makes sense. I mean, this is one that probably doesn't leave the safe very often.
Well, it's more of a dream gun.
Yeah.
If money was no object whatsoever,
sure.
of course I'd have a double rifle.
Right.
Yeah. Of course. Holland.
Yeah.
Of course. But no, I agree with Jason 100%. Control round feed. CZ used to make that 375 H&H that held one more round.
Yep.
What is the control round feed? What does that mean?
It's the old Winchester claw extractor, or actually it's a Mauser.
Mauser 98
action is what it is, and it's once it gets it in its claws, it does not let go.
So the extractor, when it catches the rim of the cartridge, it controls that cartridge through the entire process.
I got you.
Of either feeding it or extracting it.
Right.
Whereas then the alternate is like a Remington 700, has a push feed action.
Right.
So when you're chambering a round, the bolt is just kind of pushing the round into the chamber.
Yeah.
Controlled round feed is a little more little more forgiving if you short stroke it or something like that.
Right.
You know, is it really probably an issue? I don't know.
Right,
Maybe,
right.
but if I'm going to go for a dangerous game gun, I want it.
Well, and you're building your dream gun, so I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
why not?
You know, it's always been an argument, you know, a control round feed when you're in those dangerous game situations in case you want to make sure that thing is fully extracting out.
Sure.
And now on the downfall of it, we've also heard horror stories where you've had a case head separation and the claw extractor rip the entire back end off of the casing, and then you're still dead.
Oh, geez.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever's eating you.
That's why you have a 480.
Yes,
right.
that's why a good pistol backup.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely barrel lengths were right in line, that 20 to 22 inch.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably stick with iron sights, not have to worry about magnification, very quick acquisition.
Why iron sights? Sport?
No, not necessarily sport. I mean, you can be pretty accurate with iron sights.
Sure.
But less to get, you know, when you think about going to Alaska and the terrain that you're going to be in, if you take a fall down a mountain,
Yeah. Good point.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
your likelihood of you messing up your iron sights are pretty slim. It can happen.
Sure.
But have a true African-style bladed front sight that
Yeah.
flip up and down and let her rip with that.
Cool.
Yeah, those 5, man, you can do it all.
Final thoughts on that? That's covered quite a bit of ground there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
You know, the only other rifle you would need to do any kind of hunting would be some type of black powder gun for if you're hunting somewhere where it's a primitive weapon
Right.
season.
Yeah.
That's a little tougher because there's a lot of variation in different places. You know, some places you have to have a true primitive, you know, muzzleloader.
Yeah.
Others you can have more of a modern inline. Some you
Right.
can have scopes. Some you can't. But I think if you threw a 6th gun in there, it would be a a primitive weapon
Yeah.
for whatever
Yeah.
regulations that you hunt.
Right.
And man, there's nothing you really couldn't hunt anywhere.
Yeah.
You could do it all with that.
So you got those 5, and we'll have to put these up against each other and
Right.
see where the crowd comes out. I'm interested to see that. So, well, you guys know where to find us. We're at Lipsey's Guns on Facebook and Instagram. All the socials, lipseysguns.com, of course. You can check out a lot of our exclusives there and some videos and articles we've done there as well. And, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And you'll get information every time we push one of these videos out. So had fun, guys. Always a
Same
great
here,
learning
same
experience.
here, yeah.
All right, cool.
Hunting season's coming up, so we have a lot more campfire talk. So
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
More campfire talk. But until next time, aim higher.